Okay, so Andrew Tate, love him or hate him, whether he makes your blood boil or whether he makes you feel like an absolute G, we are going to review his hot takes today, right? I don't know what side of the fence you stand on with regards to Andrew Tate. I don't really have a side on the fence that I stand on with Andrew Tate either. I haven't seen much of his stuff. I've seen one or two clips around where I've seen one or two things that I've agreed with and disagreed with as well. But I thought let's go into Andrew Tate and let's dig deeper. A couple of people have been asking me to sort of review some of his hot takes. They sent me some links to some of his hot takes in one sort of like video, so we'll do a couple today, and if you like this content I will do more in the future. But let's go through some of his hot takes. He's only really become prevalent in sort of like the internet space in the past year. He's become unbelievably famous in the past year. He's literally on everybody's lips. He's been banned for some controversial things that he said. Yeah, let's see what all the hype's about. Let's see if I agree with him. Let's see if I disagree with him. Let's see what we got. Let's go.
Let me change that. You will only even acknowledge he exists if he's ignored how he feels 99% of the time before that. Because if he was sad most of the time before that, he never would have got to a place where he could attract a woman like you. The man who works in Starbucks, who's sad all the time, you won't reply to him. Neither will any other female. So for women to come along and pretend they give a about the fact that most men are basically invisible. There is not a female on the planet who's invisible today. You can be a 4, overweight, fat, you'll still go to the club and get attention. 99% of the men go to the club and nobody even fucking talks to them. If they try and talk to a girl, they get blanked and ignored and told to Most men are absolutely and utterly invisible. This is the truth about masculinity, right? It's very easy for women to sit here and complain about the top 2% of men, because I've dealt with this guy, he's arrogant, blah, 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 blah. Most men don't even fucking exist. They send 10,000 DMs and never even get read, let alone replied to. So if you just sit here and say, I'll get a G, a big G, a boss, a millionaire, and let him have a day off, very nice of you. I'm sure you would. Yeah. But if a guy who wanted to have days off all the time, he never would have got important enough in the first place to attract a woman like you. And that is the reality. As a man, it's player versus player. It's ultimately competitive. And as a man, you have to outcompete the other men who are prepared to get up and do it anyway. That's how it works. There's no such thing as saying, I'm sad, I need 2 weeks off. Not as a man if you want to be important.
Okay, I don't particularly disagree with what he's saying over there. I think it's more a modern day problem. Yes, he did say it is something that's happening today. I definitely do think that there's this unrealistic narrative that that exists in the world today, that in order for a man to be worthy at all to a woman, specifically the younger generation woman, is that they need to acquiesce to her in every single way, and they need to provide for her because she's the prize, right? So I'm the prize. If you want me, you want the hot chick, you want the girl that you can sort of flaunt, then yeah, man, then you need to be the 1%, right? The 1% in terms of you need to be the wealthy guy with the yacht, and I'm not saying this is for all women, so please do not misunderstand what I'm saying over here. I'm saying for a lot of the women today in society, the younger generation women today in society, that feel that, you know, like toxic masculinity is a thing, that the patriarchal tyranny is a thing, but then still go after these like super hyper competitive men who a lot of those traits is what made them hyper competitive. The fact that they are arrogant, the fact that they are pricks, the fact that they know what they want, and build these massive empires of businesses. Those are the men you want. Those are the men these women want. And specifically in a day and age where, in a social media day and age where everybody's putting their best foot forward on social media, there's this like sort of unrealistic standard that is now set for men, where the average men can never sort of like reach that in the general populace, in the general society, because they looked at as beneath what a woman can get. And it's very good that a woman actually holds herself to a high degree, and it's she's, you know, holds herself with the utmost dignity, but it also can't stretch past realistic standards, in the sense that, you know, the average guy who's got a job, who's, you know, working and is willing to give you a secure life and, you know, might give you one holiday a year as opposed to you always being on holiday, those are actually good people. the way we operate today in society is that, no, I'm worth so much more, so I want to go for the complete and utter elite of a man that is going to provide a life for me. That is my dream life, which is fine. You can chase that, but then when you do have that, you also need to understand that if you see yourself as the prize, that man that you're going for, which is in the upper 1%, who can get whatever they want, right? They can get 50 women like you. They see themselves as the prize, and it's like, why do I need to hold to your standards where I can get 50 women like you that would gladly be with me? Right, so I kind of feel that there needs to be a realistic notion that needs to sort of be obtained by society, where it is okay to go for just the average man that's going to provide a normal life for you, that's going to love you and isn't going to give you all of this opulence, right? And again, I'm not saying that this is all women, but it is a growing number of women in today's society where it's almost arrogant based to a certain degree, where it's like, I'm worth absolutely everything, he's worth nothing, and he should actually provide for me if he wants all of this, you know what I mean? And the man you're going to get is going to be like, yeah, I mean, I can get all of this and I can provide for you, but the moment I want to switch you as quick as a dime drops, that's what comes with the territory, essentially. So but I don't think it's all women. There are a lot of modest women, so I hate being reductionist about certain things where it's like that's just how all women see men today, because there are millions of functioning relationships today that are just normal average relationships that are quirky and cute and things like that. So I don't think it's all of them, but he is speaking to a growing number of very self-entitled, narcissistic women who wouldn't give the time of day to an average Starbucks guy because he doesn't come with a bank balance that's satisfactory. So okay, I mean, I'll give him that. I can agree with what he's saying over there. Let's go on to the next one.
I mean, if 12 tigers attack me and I manage to defeat 11 in unarmed combat with my Aikido, and the last tiger gets my neck, that's a fine way for Tate to die.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I don't think a tiger coming at your neck is a fine way. I mean, if there was a tiger coming at your neck, I'd highly doubt in that moment you'd be feeling like that's a fine way for Tate to die. Anyway, okay, move on to the next one.
You cheated, you cheated. It's bang out the machete, boom in her face, and then grip her up by the neck. Like, shut up, bitch!
What? I mean, the only thing I can say about that clip is he's maybe deliberately trying to be controversial. Like, why would you say something like that? I mean, that's just ludicrous.
Why would you suck dick for free?
Because I love doing it. What the fuck? I don't like, what the fuck? I love sucking dick. Why would
But you have no future with these men, so why not at least get paid for it, right?
I am getting paid for it on fucking OnlyFans. I don't need them to pay me. I make way more than they could ever give me.
They get paid twice.
Yeah, I mean, that is quite possibly one of the most pathetic things I've ever heard in my life, right? I don't agree with the OnlyFans. I don't agree with OnlyFans at all. Essentially, I just don't think. I think there's more value to a woman than to parade herself on platforms and get paid by toxic masculine men who they hate anyway. The patriarchal, tyrannical men who they hate anyway, but then take their money. I think a woman should be far more dignified. I think she should be revered for her intelligence, revered for her abilities outside of, flaunting her bits and, getting money for that. So I don't agree with the OnlyFans. Other way, with regards to that whole blowjob thing, I mean, again, Tate is just, I don't know, he's talking shit.
I don't believe in depression. Don't message me about depression because I don't believe in it. If you're asleep in your bed in the middle of the night and you hear a noise and you believe in ghosts, now you're afraid. But if you don't believe in ghosts, it's the wind and you go back to sleep. You give the ghosts power. by believing in them. Your house is only haunted if you believe in ghosts. Belief is a powerful thing. If I were to stand in front of you and I were to tell you that I could punch you as hard as I can in your sternum, and I could fracture it and send a splinter into your heart, would you allow me to try? You wouldn't, because you know I believe I can. I believe I can hurt any man on the planet, and that's why people are afraid of me. And you believe depression is a crippling disease, and that's why you're afraid of it.
What would you do?
Okay, so with regards to that depression, I think I've spoken about this once or twice before with regards to depression. I think there are two sides to the story that you got to play very carefully on, right? From a psychological standpoint, it's diagnosable depression. It's a psychological condition that that I'm not entirely sure if it's that people say it's a chemical imbalance, and my wife knows more about this than I do, but there is like diagnosable depression, in the sense that people are just depressed and they can't get out of their depression. And then there's manufactured depression, which is a lot more prevalent in today's world, where it's now becoming like a trend to be depressed. Now, it's what's so terrible about the sort of society we're living in now is and this is what I agree with him, is the fact that, if somebody says that they are depressed, people are shame, it's okay to not be okay. So they kind of like trendified depression. It's kind of like now you're in like the cool kids club, if you perpetually depressed, because then you get all of this adulation, you get all of this attention, and it's like, you're so brave for just existing, you're so brave for putting a post on Facebook, right? The people who are truly depressed, people who are diagnosably depressed, the people who literally cannot get out of bed, are not putting posts on Facebook, are not putting posts on Instagram saying, oh, I struggled to get out today. That's just all for attention. The people who are really depressed, right, do not have the time nor the wherewithal to actually get up and put something like that, because it's really a crippling thing. It's a crippling disease. Whereas the people who you have parading around the public square, just putting, it's like, oh my God, like I forced myself to get up today because I'm so depressed, and things like that. I find that because we're living in a society that sort of affirms that kind of thing, people sort of like play into that more and more and more, and then end up being these like mushrooms under the tree, where the shade becomes a comfortable place to be, where you don't have to be there, right? And also we also in a society where, we are growing up children that we're teaching them to be safe as opposed to being strong. So we're saying that, your safety is more important than your strength, which I think is absolutely pathetic and stupid, in the sense that, we're trying to take away anything that might offend them, anything that might, sort of bring them any sort of adversity and strife. And then what happens is that these people aren't actually depressed. It's because they've been brought up in a way where they've never actually had to deal with hardships. Now when things don't go their way, they play like the depressed card, like I'm depressed, and that kind of, where they just, what they should be doing is they should just be getting up and doing things anyway. Actually be disciplined in your day. Get up and do what you have to do. And you start realizing that through responsibility, you sort of like lift your burdens. You all of a sudden have a purpose and a meaning to your life. And therefore it lifts your depression as well, right? So a growing number of people are, sort of like identifying themselves as depressed themselves. Like they're just saying, I'm depressed, and, you can't make fun of my depression and things like that. And yes, there's the science to it, but I think today I kind of feel like it's becoming like a manufactured thing, where social media is sort of propping it up as something good, something that we should affirm. This whole it's okay to not be okay movement, I think, is absolutely pathetic. It's not okay to not be okay. That's why it's called not being okay. And I think that in order for you to get out of that depressive state, you do need to surround yourself with people that are going to lift you up as opposed to bring you down. And anybody who sits there and says it's okay to be okay, it's okay for you to keep your nose on the ground and to look down as opposed to looking up, as opposed to aiming higher, are not people you should be hanging around with, because they're not good for you. They're not going to help you lift your depression. They're going to keep you in that state of depression, so that they feel better about themselves, as if you know they are the shoulder to cry on, and you'll always be crying on that shoulder, and you'll never really lift yourself from depression. Responsibility for your life, responsibility and discipline for what you do in your life is going to inevitably lift depression. In the cases that I'm speaking on, where it's like it's the depression that comes up with just things aren't working your way, not clinical depression, which is a real thing and a very hard thing to deal with, but that is actually the lesser of the cases. We actually now have a growing number of depressed people in the younger generation, because they're completely lost and no one's really navigating them. They're allowing them to just be these free souls, to be whoever and whatever they want to be, void of any responsibility, and we basically, you know, we're not making them strong. Like you'd rather make a society, you know, you want the warrior in the garden as opposed to the gardener in the war, and our society is pretty much growing these gardeners who are going to war and then realize that they actually can't tackle the world for what it is. So strength over safety any day of the week. I agree and disagree with his position over there, because again, it's very nuanced. There is clinical depression, which is a real thing, and then there's obviously manufactured depression, which is I think what he's playing into more than anything else. So yeah, okay, let's carry on. Let's go into the next one.
What would you do if I wanted to start an OnlyFans?
I don't think there's anything intrinsically wrong with women doing OnlyFans, as long as I had influence and control over it.
What do you mean? Doing a video photographer and get the angles, yeah?
No. I'm not doing any real work, but just like taking all the money. Huh? If my chick said, I want to do OnlyFans, I'm like, all right, then cool, go do it. How much you made? 10 grand? All right, give me 8. All right, cool.
Why would, what woman is going to give you 8 grand?
You're my woman, you're doing OnlyFans, you're selling my product. What the fuck?
Your product?
Yes,
The
correct.
woman is not- she's not
Next
your
question.
possession. No. I don't know if you're being serious.
I'm totally serious. How would I let my chick do OnlyFans and keep all the money? That's disrespectful.
What woman is ever going to give you that?
Then she better not do OnlyFans. Duh.
Okay, so I've given you, I mean, on my last clip, I gave you my position on OnlyFans. I think that is more of a value clash than what he's saying over there. The actual notion that he's saying that if they do OnlyFans, like I need to take a cut as if it's like as if women are his property to a certain degree, I think is absolutely pathetic. All right, I think if you have an issue with the woman that you're with doing OnlyFans, you probably just shouldn't be with her. You can't say that you're okay with a woman doing OnlyFans, and then on the flip side of that coin, also say that you can do OnlyFans, but then I'm going to take a portion. I'm going to take a cut of what you make because you're my property. I don't understand why he would see women in his property. I definitely do think that if he had any position in it, I'd be like, firstly, I wouldn't be with a woman like that. I wouldn't be with a woman who wants to do OnlyFans and who has that as a job. I think straight on from the onset, if she told me that I have OnlyFans, I wouldn't entertain the relationship further. I'd just be like, okay, well, it's not for me. I'm not going to be with somebody who's, you know, putting themselves out there for 1,000 other men to see, because she obviously doesn't have any sort of dignity and respect for herself. And I'm not going to sort of encourage that about her. So no, I wouldn't be with her. And even if I was with somebody like that, I was with somebody who wasn't doing OnlyFans and then decided to start doing OnlyFans, there would be, again, immediately a value and virtue clash on my side, where those are fundamental values where we are diametrically opposed, and unfortunately, we cannot carry on this relationship. I will not ever accept a situation where my girl that is with me starts doing OnlyFans and showing off herself to other men for money. I've got too much respect for myself. I've got too much respect for her, and I think she should have more respect for herself as a woman to, you know, instead of her selling herself in that way, which is the easy way. That's the easy way out, right? The easy way out today, and it's unfortunately the society we live in today is, you know, that, you know, take the easy route. The hard route is no longer valued. There's a reason why the hard route is the hard route, because there's so much value in that hard route. It's the same thing like going to gym, essentially. A lot of people say, oh, I want to go to gym, and what's the quickest way to build this kind of muscle and that kind of muscle? There is no quick way. There's no quick way to do that. The fact that it's hard is what makes it great. The fact that it's hard is what gives it its value, essentially. Why do you need to build these muscles quickly? Why don't you go through the strife, go through the struggle, go through the suffering, and when you come out on the end of that, you're going to have built some character. There's no easy route to life. You don't bend reality however you decide to bend reality and think that that's not eventually going to come up and bite you down the line. So with regards to those women, when eventually, they reach an age of wisdom, and wisdom slaps them in the face, they realize that, they are now all over the internet and being shared with thousands of men who are actually degrading her by, being on the other side of that screen, doing whatever they're doing, and paying money so that you can keep doing that. So if you have any sort of appreciation, and if you uphold yourself as a woman, you wouldn't do that. And I would not ever uphold a woman that is willing to do that. It's not even about her, it's about her choice. It's not about, you can choose to do whatever the hell you like. I can choose to just not be with you. So you can go and do OnlyFans. That's fine. Each their own, free country, right? But those don't align with my values, and there's no ways that we can be together if you're doing that. So absolutely, it's pathetic that he would take a cut out of it, because it's like he's saying, oh well, I'm against you doing it, but I'm okay if I can become a pimp in the relationship and take a cut of what you're doing because you're my property. I don't want property like that, is what I'm saying. So I'm going to leave it there because this is getting quite long. I do have a couple other clips that I will do of his. You guys let me know if you like this content. And I will put more content. There's a lot of these clips that I can give my positions on. And you guys let me know what you think of it. And if you want to hear more. I love you all. Please stay safe, please stay healthy. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.